it's appropriate for 3 members of council to make this decision, but I absolutely think it's appropriate for the voters of the city of Vila Park to make that decision. We're not going to say this is what's going to happen. We're going to give them the option. I'll tell you the people I'm talking to and the people who are communicating with me via my famous email network that it displeases so many. They are saying yes, yes, yes. They want it. They want In God We Trust. They want us to get back to traditional values, the founding values of this country. They are tired of the minority pushing their desire to remove God's hand from our country. We were founded as one nation under God. We really, truly were. Our founding fathers turned to the Lord, and this is what it's all about. So let's let the voters decide. And I think it's appropriate for the majority to sometimes get their way and not constantly be bowing to those who demand that we be politically correct. I am so sick of being politically correct. We have destroyed our country by being politically correct. They have been successful in removing God from our public schools, and we see what's going on there now with drugs and obscene behaviors, even on the campuses of our fine schools, kids having to be arrested and removed. I do think it's time for us to get back to where we started from. And if this small reminder, even this small discussion, makes us realize that it is valuable, that we do value that, we better trust in God, because man seems to be mucking it up pretty badly. So that's my take. I will obviously make my vote in the privacy of the voting booth, but I feel that we should put this before the voters, the residents, and allow them to make that ultimate decision.
If you recall, that was my motion last month, is that we put it before the voters.
Which was a great motion, by the
And
way.
so I
Thought we all decided that.
Yeah.
we
And
decided
so now
that.
you're changing your mind.
Yeah.
No,
What?
no, I'm not changing my mind. I'm just reporting to you that, that people have said to me, why are you even involved in this? That's the point I'm trying to make.
If it costs no money and the voters get a vote on it, what's the harm?
I think the answer to the question of why we're involved in it is so that we can make a decision that's consistent with the foundation of this country, which, if you can just pick one word, the word would be freedom, in my opinion. And in this particular case, you can sit here and listen to 4 people on this council get after each other right now. So those who say that in this particular subject there lies the potential for divisiveness are absolutely correct, in my humble opinion. And therefore, we kicked it away from us so that 3 out of 5 of us did not vote one way or the other. And one of our brighter members of our community was good enough to get up there in the communications part of our meeting and make that suggestion in the midst of more heat than light that particular evening. And we all said to one another, gee, that seems very sensible to let the majority speak, and in this case, let the majority probably have their way.
Yep.
Right.
Because unless something else stops this, the majority will rule. So I mean, that's where I come from on a professional basis as a government servant.
I agree.
I kind of see things at a little different slant than Deborah. I don't see this as that larger point of God in our society or a guiding light. I see it in a much smaller and narrower position of "In God We Trust" being in the government chambers, and in that respect being problematic. I'm not an ungodly person, and I do believe in a higher being, but to me that's a private belief and a private thing between me and my beliefs, not part of my public persona. And that's why I kind of take a bit of umbrance with what you said about God within our society, because I'm not trying to take God out. I'm trying to say that there needs to be the continuation of government as one entity and our personal lives as another.
I have a comment, Jim, that might help you a little bit. If you think of last council meeting, we all felt bad if 3 of us railroaded our community with this, bam. And we all thought, what a great thing to let the voters choose. If we choose tonight to not do this, we're doing the same thing. We are railroading our community to not give them the chance to vote. Why would we do that?
I think railroad
Why?
is a
Well,
slightly
it's the
strong
same
word.
thing. It's the same thing reversed.
Well,
Why not give the community, let them speak, not us?
I didn't say not give them the right
Okay.
to speak.
All right.
What I'm saying is a dialogue as to why it may not be a good idea to bring this into the chambers.
Okay, I
That-
understand, but I don't think we have the right up here to say they can't vote on it. And that's
Well-
where we can, do you understand what I'm saying?
I
It's a
understand.
complete reverse.
Are
I
we
understand fully.
trying to convince each other of something
We're-
here?
we're not
Or
going
are we ready to move?
Let's move
To
it.
pick up the
Well,
people who
voters
have
choose.
comments?
We've
and-
got, it's a public hearing, and we've got some public, it looks
It's
like.
not a public hearing, but we'll be glad to hear from folks. Mr. Voter, would you like to speak to it? Let's try to make it brief, guys, because we don't want to be here all night.
Yes, sir. Members of the city council, as the purveyor of the original idea, to put it to vote, I do side with the 2 councilmen over on the left on this. I personally don't feel it belongs directly in the chambers here. You don't have the luxury of any other decision beside what you're going to do. Now in Tustin, last week Tustin decided to put In God We Trust in the city hall, but it did not go in the city chambers. It went in their Hall of Fame. If you've been in the Tustin City Hall, there's a special hallway that goes down with a commemoration of the various policemen and the like who've given their lives for the service of the community. And they were fortunate because there's a foundation that maintains that part of City Hall, and they stepped forward and said, we will pay for putting up the sign. So voila, that problem goes away. It goes into the Hall of Fame, not in the city chambers. Now, that's the way one city council was able to sidestep the issue. But I will go back and say what I said before. The 5 of you cannot make a decision on this. It really should go to the citizens of the community to make a decision. We've had some interesting, we are probably the first city in the state that this is going to go. We've had some notice in the press about this, and I think it's very constructive. I think it shows a level of thinking in our community to put it in front of the citizens and say, you make the decision.
Yeah,
And I'll leave it at that. Thank you.
thank you. Yeah, I agree.
My name is Alexander Almoyan, and I live on Serrano Avenue in Vila Park. I'm an electronics engineer. I've worked for Hughes Aircraft Company for 40 years, and I'm a computer specialist. Today in this country, we have the processing power, the technology, and the bandwidth to let every citizen vote directly on every issue. And we could put the Senate and the House of Representatives out of business. Why don't we do that? Because our form of government is a representative form of government. The people of Villa Park elected you as their representatives. And the first time a contentious issue comes up, you're going to abrogate your responsibility. Why is that? I was here last month, and you people had no problems voting on an issue on massage therapy. How come you feel you're more qualified to vote on massage therapy than a motto? That's a rhetorical question, but here's a real question. If there are certain issues you feel not qualified to vote on, don't you think you should let the electorate know so that when we have a chance to vote for you, we'll know what you feel qualified to vote on and what you don't?
Very thought-provoking, very good.